Morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for participating in our meeting. First of all, I have to inform you that unfortunately, Mr. Erasmus, the Deputy Director of the Foundation, will not be able to attend and moderate our meeting today due to health issues. So I'll be moderating the first panel for you. On this note, we can move on to our business. So our first panel speech will be given to Ms. Vashakmadze, Head of Donor Relations and International Relations Department from Georgian Innovation and Technology Agency. Please, Annie, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Giorgi. So on behalf of Georgia's Innovation Technology Agency, I'm delighted to speak at this significant event today and express our sincere appreciation for their access. Georgia started building the innovation ecosystem since 2014 and had a clear mandate towards the sustainable industrial development to stimulate innovation, modern technologies and R&D, facilitate commercialization and usage of R&D, support to innovative startups and their competitiveness growth, and facilitate cooperation between the representatives of scientists and businesses. As you are well aware, Georgia's Innovation Technology Agency, GITA, was established under the supervision of the Ministry of Economy and Sustainable Development. And we are running different projects and programs dedicated to startup and applied research commercialization. Let me highlight one particular project, which is dedicated to R&D commercialization, which is under the Increasing Institutional Capacity Innovation Project, supported by the European Union, and the Technology Transfer Pilot Program, which is established to support commercialization, Georgian scientific results, which respond to the market needs. Technology Transfer Pilot is implemented by our agency with technical support of the World Bank Group. And the objectives of this particular program are to build capacity of our agency and public partner organization in technology transfer and commercialization processes, and from the initial disclosure until the deal closure. So, and then the second objective is test whether innovations coming from the public universities and research institutions have commercialization viability. And the third objective is facilitate coordinating between the private and public customers and scientific teams. We selected about 10 projects from different industries, and we went through the following stages. It was analysis of existing research projects in research institutions by international and local experts, also capacity building of Georgian experts in technology transfer. We conduct due diligence and also define technology readiness level and business readiness levels of those particular projects. And commercialization stage is currently running. It includes clinical trials, protection of the intellectual property, negotiations with business regarding the technology licensing and startup formation, and also business transactions. At the stage of the negotiations, these projects are really promising to be integrated in the global value chains. In a nutshell, this is what I wanted to highlight. Regarding the R&D commercialization, surely we have some other projects as well as innovation financing and innovation skills development and innovation infrastructure development dedicated to the technological startups. It will be a pleasure to answer your questions if you are interested in further details. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Annie. Thank you for your speech. So our next panelist is Mr. Gebhard Reul, the head of the DAAD regional office in Tbilisi. Please, Mr. Gebhard, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you very much for your kind invitation to participate in this panel. And you have formulated two questions, and the first one is the funding agency a key piece in the research and innovation in the internationalization puzzle? And here I would say, yes, DAAD is a very important piece, perhaps not the key piece, but an important piece in this internationalization puzzle, because the DAAD awards more than 100 new scholarships for academics every year, including around 50 for doctoral students and more than 60 for postdocs and academics. Almost 50 scholarships are awarded within the framework of individual scholarship programs, and more than 60 within the framework of university cooperation projects. Among the individual fellowship programs, our most important program is a joint Rustaveli DAAD fellowship program for doctoral students and early career researchers, which we run together with the Shota Rustaveli National Science Foundation of Georgia, and through which over 20 fellowships are awarded every year. This year, after a break due to COVID, we were able to announce it again, fortunately. We also offer a scholarship for complete doctorates in Germany and 1 to 3 month scholarships for university teachers and academics. Our programs are open to all disciplines. To apply for a scholarship, you always need either an invitation from a host university or research institute, or in the case of doctoral students, a confirmation of supervision from a professor. To find the right partners, supervisors, and institutions, you can use your access. And I would like to underline that you can always write to researchers in Germany you don't know personally. That's not forbidden. And you will, in most cases, receive an answer. We all know that the participation of Georgian scientists in the major European research programs is low. That is the reason why 2 years ago, together with the Rustaveli Foundation, we decided on a new program for bilateral research projects, which is intended to support doctoral and postdoctoral students from Germany and Georgia who are working on a joint research project. And this program can also be used to prepare applications in European research programs. Unfortunately, because of COVID, it could not be advertised yet, but hopefully it will be in the coming year. And the last remark from my side in terms of sustainability. The DAAD, I can say that the DAAD would like to become a climate neutral organization in the long term. And for environmental reasons, the motto should therefore be rather travel rarely and stay longer than travel frequently and stay short. That's what I wanted to say here in this panel. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gebhard, for your time and participation. Our next panelist is Ms. Inga Dadeshidze, the science officer from Coast Association. Please, Ms. Inga, please.
Hello, good morning, everyone, and thanks for organizing this event and this panel, and for inviting us, COST, European Cooperation in Science and Technology, to be present here. So I would like to give a short overview of COST activities and its main instrument, COST Action, also to mention how COST operates and contributes to science and innovation progress in Europe and beyond. We will have also dedicated workshop at 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock, please, if interested, please join us. So more information will be given there. I would start to mention that since its inception, that was 50 years ago in 1971, COST provides networking opportunities for researchers and innovators in order to strengthen Europe's capacity to address scientific, technological, and societal challenges. In fact, COST supports science and technology-driven networks, so-called COST actions. The researchers, individuals affiliated with the research institutions having different expertise can tackle the scientific and societal challenges from the diverse disciplines' perspectives. So multidisciplinarity and interdisciplinary approaches are highly welcome, as this is the optimal way to solve problems or share best practice and to achieve transformative change, which is not reachable by working in discipline silos. The actions are selected for funding via cost open call. To start a cost action, there is a minimum requirement to have network from at least 7 cost countries. And additionally, of course, there could be also international partners from near neighbor countries, such as Georgia, for example, that they can be involved already at that stage from the proposal stage. Key principle of cost is the inclusiveness and openness, which means that once action starts, others from all cost countries and also international partners can join to contribute to the action progress and to have benefit from all networking and collaboration within the action framework. Action networks are composed of representatives of different countries. Cost covers 38 member countries. One cooperating state is Israel, and recently, and not a long time ago, South Africa became a partner member of COST. Additionally, researchers from 16 near-neighbor countries and international partner countries as well can join the COST action. As said, a COST action is a network of all stakeholders interested to pursue the research on a certain topic. The main subject and research goals can lay in any scientific field, which means that we have bottom-up approach in selecting the new actions. So researchers and innovators with diverse background and career stage, all of which share a common focus and interest on fundamental aspects of the specific scientific field and topic of the action, combine collaborative forces in a cost action to expand and apply translational knowledge to focus on outputs and create impact and respond cost excellence and inclusiveness policy with 3 main elements, which are geographical spread, career stage, involving young researchers, and gender balance. This plays an important role in widening participation and involving near neighbor countries as well, and also to give wide opportunities to young and female talents. Cost actions have a program for 4-year lifetime with certain research and capacity building objectives. To achieve these objectives, they organize and perform networking activities such as different types of meetings, working group meetings, workshops and conferences, training schools, short-term scientific missions, which are very effective means to achieve planned scientific goals within the grant period and have success stories at the end. These are lab, research center or university exchange visits to conduct the project using tools, techniques or practices or instruments at the host institution. Also to mention, making successful and visible to create an impact, the cost actions have also defined strategy, such as communication, dissemination and valorization strategy, how to disseminate and communicate different target audience. And this happens via their websites, publications, other dissemination and communication means. So going back to short-term scientific mission tool, which I mentioned that is very effective, worth to mention that most of the researchers who performed the short-term scientific mission indicated that this significantly and positively affected their career. I have one example, very straightforward success story of one action member, and she is a postdoc. She was a short-term scientific mission grantee. She performed this mission in the Action Chairs Lab. And after this mission, to continue this project, they submitted for Sklodowska-Curie Action Individual Fellowship, and it was successful. And finally, this is very important that it will lead at transferring the knowledge to her country, which is considered less research-intensive country. We call it inclusiveness target countries. So it's very important, and it will create the first lab in the field in her country. And it would be this is really a great achievement outcome from this tool and from this certain action. So this is one example, but I would also like to highlight here the importance of the pre-portal nature of COST to the European research area, a sort of springboard to European projects, other funding opportunities, and collaborative activities. Very important how the cost actions succeed in Horizon 2020 applications, where the success rate is substantially increased once applied by the cost actions. So reported 233 actions, they reported the 37% of success in Horizon 2020 applications, which is really very, very high success rate and very important. So this is what I wanted to say about the organization, European Cooperation in Science and Technology. And as I mentioned, we will have a workshop also, dedicated workshop at 2 o'clock. Please join us. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Inga. Our next panelist is Ms. Maia Okujava, Nation Coordinator from Georgia to Horizon Europe. Please, Ms. Maia, floor is yours.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Mr. Tsotsoria, for this opportunity to take part in this panel. So I'm joining this panel as National Coordinator of Program Horizon Europe in Georgia. And I would like once more to remind how broad is this program, the Research and Innovation Program for 2021-2027. And it is one of the main tools in implementation of Europe's main strategy for international cooperation. As we know, all this program is open for all researchers around the globe. And Horizon Europe encourages international participation. And for this, it uses two ways, double strategy. The one direction is general openness to international participation. And as it is known, as I already told, entities from all over the world can take part and collaborate and participate in collaborative programs. From the other side, the entities from most low middle income countries are automatically eligible for funding. This is about the global strategy. Besides this, there are very interesting targeted actions, and they are as well very important. And these actions are developed based on common and mutual benefit between international, and actions specifically relevant are for international cooperation. I would like, as I already mentioned, the program is really very broad and it is very difficult to cover all opportunities in the program for international cooperation. But I would like to mention about some specific actions. First of all, of course, about widening actions, and it was already mentioned here about this opportunity in the program Horizon Europe. As we know, this program is divided into three destinations, and besides this, there are as well several other actions as well, which are open for participation of different countries. Destination first, this is improved access to excellence. Destination 2, this is attracting the mobilizing the best talents. And the destination 3 is reforming and enhancing the EU research and innovation system. All these destinations have several calls, and really it is the long list, and it's very difficult to describe all opportunities which we will have in this calls. But of course, they are open for organizations, for funding organizations, for governmental authorities, universities, scientists, researchers, and here we have really very broad opportunities. Besides this, when we speak about internationalization and about mobility, and as the main questions of this panel were regarding the internationalization and mobility, of course, I can't skip the Sklodowska-Curie actions. We have 5 types of actions in this part of the program. Here are doctoral networks and staff exchange opportunities, postdoctoral fellowships, and co-fund actions. Maybe I will stop a little more broader about co-fund actions. And the last one, this is Sklodowska-Curie action and citizens. This is the analog of Researchers' Night, which was in Horizon 2020. Now about very shortly about co-fund action, why it is very important and interesting, because in this action can participate the legal entity from EU member state or Horizon Europe associated country, and this entity can be a governmental entity and regional authority or funding agency, university, research organization, and enterprises. And all these calls are related. Here we have 2 types of co-fund actions. These are doctoral program still and postdoctoral programs. And I would like to mention that all the opportunities which are open through these Sklodowska-Curie actions, and as well, and among of them through co-fund actions, after are published on the Euroaccess website and are available for all researchers, and it really opens a broad opportunity to find interesting job and interesting fellowship in different fields of the research, and not only research. Yes. As we talked about associated country, I would like to mention that nowadays is going on the negotiation of agreement of Georgia with Horizon Europe, and of course this agreement will broaden the opportunity of Georgia for participation in the program. This was very shortly. I will about the opportunities in the program. The international cooperation is welcomed in all pillars. The program is divided into 3 main pillars. The first pillar, this is excellent science. Here are, for example, such programs like European Research Council, Sklodowska-Curie actions, research infrastructures. Besides this, in pillar 2, we have as well the thematic clusters. In all thematic clusters, here are 6 thematic clusters, and in all thematic clusters are separately the calls for international cooperation. I can bring a lot of interesting examples. One of the, I think, most interesting example is the, for example, the network in health program, which is dedicated for COVID-19 actions, EU-wide COVID-19 clinical trial network. And this network is one of the examples of international cooperation, and it is divided into 2 parts, for example, for the therapeutic therapies and for vaccines, network for therapies and for vaccines. So as well in other these thematic clusters, we can find special calls for international cooperation, as well as we know that in each call can take part and participate the legal entities from different countries, and this and one of the requirements for this consortia which can participate in the program is to have in the consortia 1 independent legal entity from member state and 2 independent entities from the member state and associated countries. So I stressed about it because association of Georgia to the Horizon Europe program really will broaden the opportunities for participation in this program. This was very shortly about possibilities and about the opportunities of internationalization and mobility in this program, and I'm sure that after my presentation, we'll have the presentation, the national contact point for Maria Sklodowska-Curie actions. And here, of course, the mobility opportunities are really well broad, and we will get more and more deeper information about it. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you very much, Ms. Maia, for participation and for your time. So our next panelist is Ms. Maia Machavariani, National Contact Point, Maria Sklodowska-Curie actions. Please, Ms. Maia, the floor is yours. Ms. Maia Machavariani, do we have her in our room? All right, I think this is the moment where we move on to our next panelist, Ms. Lika Glonti, coordinator from Erasmus Plus National Office of Georgia. Please, Ms. Lika, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, and thank you for having me here. I'm glad to fill in this gap. I'm glad to attend this event as a National Erasmus Plus coordinator, because actually Erasmus Plus is not a project for researchers, but it could be used by researchers, and I think it's a good opportunity to address you and explain this opportunity, what Erasmus Plus could give you. As you know, we are working with universities. Our main beneficiaries are universities, and we are glad that 80% of higher education institutions in Georgia are members of Erasmus family. So the program is highly visible, is quite popular. We have different actions under Erasmus Plus, and one of the most prominent is staff and student exchanges. Again, I'm proud to announce that we are, according to the number of scholarships, Erasmus scholarships, among 141 partner countries, we have the proud 6th place. And we were always in top 10 countries for the last 6 years, which means that there is a huge demand for staff and student exchanges. Our last data from the last year, despite the COVID, was 1,700 scholarships for Georgian students and academic staff outgoing from Georgia to partner European universities. And this involves doctoral students who can spend 1 or 2 semesters in partner European university for their studies and research. And this involves also university academic staff, professors, whose main activity under Erasmus Plus is actually supposed to be teaching. So our professors are going to European universities for minimum 5 days, maximum 2 months, everything funded, of course, to share their experience, mostly in teaching. But usually these visits could be also used as a very good starting point for further projects and for research collaborations. When we were analyzing impact of Erasmus Plus at individual, institutional, and national level, and we just published the report in July, we've seen that there are a lot of spin-off projects which started with Erasmus Plus partnerships. So I want to draw your attention to this additional possibility of mobility, and additional possibility of establishing partnerships and networking with your European colleagues in order to use this communication and use this experience for further developments and build on Erasmus Plus programs in the field of research partnerships in the future. So this is one of the most important points, and I would be very happy to see this kind of developments, because this will, of course, enhance the impact of Erasmus Plus project generally at the national level and help our system to develop further. As I mentioned, our main beneficiaries are higher education institutions. Despite staff and student mobilities, we are also supporting capacity building in the field of higher education, and these are projects with a budget up to €1 million per project, where the universities can also develop the infrastructure, develop their partnerships with European universities. And in the last years, we have seen that there is a trend of developing university business contacts, entrepreneurship at university level, and also to develop doctoral programs. So this is another pillar of Erasmus+, which could indirectly but significantly contribute to researchers' mobility and development of research collaboration between Georgian and European partners. And another point I want to draw your attention is that, of course, Erasmus Plus is all about partnerships between Georgia and European countries, which we are striving for. But in many projects, we have also partners from other countries, from our regions, and we are collaborating very closely with Eastern Partnership countries. So this is another opportunity for local research projects at the regional level. And we are also happy that we have cross-regional partnerships, and most prominently, we have several Erasmus Plus projects with our colleagues from Israel. And you know that university quality in Israel is very high. So Erasmus is also boosting and supporting cooperation, not only with European, but also regional and cross-regional partnerships. I'm putting into the chat now the website of our organization, where you can find all the information. There's also contact information about calls. Right now, we are expecting a new call in 1 month's time. By the end of October, our office will be starting a very intensive promotional campaign, and I hope that among our potential beneficiaries will be also researchers who will consider Erasmus Plus projects as a starting point of their partnership with European universities. Thank you very much for your attention. And if there are any questions, please feel free to contact me anytime. Thanks a lot.
Lika, thank you for your effort and time and participation. Our next panelist is Ms. Rusudan Jobava, the head of International Relations and Fundraising Office of Rustaveli Nation Science Foundation of Georgia. Please, Ms. Rusudan, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Giorgi. Hello, everybody. Nice to meet you in this very important meeting, which concerns Euraccess Georgia portal inauguration. My name is Rusudan Jobava. I'm a head of the Office of International Relations and Fundraising. Today, I will discuss about how internationalization process is running in Shota Rustaveli Nation Science Foundation of Georgia, and I will share my short presentation. Now you could see my presentation. Promoting science and innovation is one of the key priorities of foundation and serves as a pillar affecting majority of calls administered by SRNSFG. And nowadays, sharing of global knowledge, new findings, discoveries, and innovation are becoming increasingly important for Georgia's economy in order to make accumulate knowledge in the research accessible and to involve Georgian system in the world's innovation centers, universities, institutes. It is necessary to internationalize the cooperation. Foundation pays great importance to encourage internationalization process, which promotes enhancements of collaboration networks between Georgian and foreign partners, and further collaboration with the perspective to implement joint projects, sharing experience and practice. Then it is gaining new knowledge and equipping with new skills, career development, efficient transfer of knowledge to local Georgian scientific communities. So, next slide is about European programs, Horizon 2020, and the next upcoming Horizon Europe. Currently, SRNFG it's sorry, it's not. It's about our bilateral calls. Currently, foundation is administered up to 6 programs. Most large-scale programs is Foundation German Academic Exchange Service, DAAD Joint Fellowship Program. Aim of the call is supporting young scientists and PhD students in fostering their scientific research capabilities in Germany through scientific fellowship at German higher education institutions and research centers. Program foresees to grant up to 30 young researchers. This year, 22 young researchers have been funded. As the agreement now is expiring, now we are working to renew this document with the DAAD and to announce the calls with renewed format. Second one is National Research Council, is foundation and National Research Council of Italy joint call aiming to cooperate between scientists and scientific centers of Georgia and Italy. This program is not individual fellowship. It envisaged to support the mobility of researchers of the 2 countries through joint research projects. Call is expected to announce in 2022 with increased budget. Third one is the Rustaveli Foundation and Institute funds the joint program, which was announced the first time this year and foresees to grant 2 postdoctoral fellows research visit to French research institutions and universities. The duration of the program is 1 month. Fourth is a joint program with TÜBİTAK, Scientific and Technological Research Council of Turkey. The goal of the program is deepening the collaboration between Georgia and Turkey by promoting cooperation between the higher education institution, research centers, and scientists through joint scientific research projects. Short-term exchange research with it as well. The group of Georgian scientists present a joint research project at Foundation, and the same research project will be presented at Turkish Scientific Center. And fifth programs that we administered this year also is the joint program for master and PhD students with Jülich Center. The aim is to extend the cooperation between Georgia and Germany. Georgian students are given the opportunity to visit world's leading research center and to carry out their activities according to international standards. And very prominent and very important our program is a joint call with Oxford University, very distinctive program for popularization and promotion of Georgian studies on an international level. The program, which enables scientists to make popular and developed Georgian studies, encouraging young scientists to pursue a career in Georgian studies, enhancing young scientists' involvement in the international scientific communities, conducting research related to Georgian studies in accordance with international standards. The program has been implemented since 2015. Next slide is about European programs. Since Georgia has become an associated country of Horizon 2020, in 2016, Foundation administered some grant scheme to support Georgian researchers' participation in European Union Research and Innovation Framework Program. Here we should mention grant call for supporting the participation of Georgian scientists in the European Research and Innovation Framework Program, Horizon 2020. The aim of the call is to support internationalization of Georgian science and enhancing Georgian scientists' participation in the European Union Framework Program. And the next is ERC Visiting Research Fellowship Program, aiming to support Georgian scientists' successful participation in European Research Council, ERC grant calls, and promoting their integration into the international scientific era, as well as funding Georgian Scientist Research Fellowship with principal investigator research teams of the European Research Council funded projects in the research host institution and scientific research centers. Now we have new program ahead of, Horizon Europe, with unprecedented budget and more opportunities. And as a research funding organization, we are committed to be a mediator for other scientific institutions, communities, and also to be applicant organization for its cause, especially for capacity building to strengthen networks of higher education institutions and cooperation with surrounding ecosystem. Next slide is about training project. As you know, Foundation is not only science funding organization, but policy making organization as well. In this sense, we are beneficiary organization of the training project. The overall objective of the project is to address the priorities and challenges in Georgia's science, technology, innovation system, with the aim of ensuring in this interdisciplinary approach, collaborative research, and promote evidence-based policy implementation in line with European Union Georgia Association Agreement. The specific objective of the project is to enhance the capacity of the Shota Rustaveli National Science Foundation of Georgia by revising and improving existing programs and operational activities of foundation in response to national priorities and socio-economic challenges. So far, we have achieved the results as follows. I will list these results. Analyze the data on science productivity by scientific fields, methodology guidelines for identification of scientific priorities were developed, and 6 thematic areas were identified. Desk research interviews were done, and needs for companies for applied research grant calls were identified. It's very important that we started to work on internationalization strategy where identified where strategy priorities have been identified. Workshops for young scientists on science communication and networking were conducted. Level of awareness of science business links, that it's very important among academia and business communities, were identified, and actions that should be increased on the level of awareness. And the next slide is our Horizon 2020 project, Caliper. Foundation is the beneficiary organization of Horizon 2020 project. Caliper foreseeing to implement gender equality in STEM. Our organization is a member of consortia containing 12 organizations, including research performing organization and research funding organization. So the overall objective is structural and functional changes in the research organization of the Southern and Central European, Balkan, and Baltic regions, through the establishment of close link between research and local innovative ecosystem, and the implementation of a gender equality plan, which is a very important and prominent issue in this project. So foundation and the last objective is encourage the involvement of the female researchers in the STEM areas and support their career advancement. So So far, Foundation has carried out internal and external assessment and conducted dialogues with stakeholders. We have received their recommendations, suggestions, and on the basis of mutual understanding, we framed gender equality plan, which is approved by General Director. I think the issue is very important and very prominent because it's required by the new regulation of the Horizon Europe, by which applicant organization should have a gender equality plan. So that was all that I would like to share and present you. Thank you very much for your attention.
Ms. Rusudan, thank you very much for your comprehensive and interesting presentation. Our next panelist will be Ms. Maia Machavariani, from National Contact Point from Mary Sklodowska-Curie Actions. Ms. Maia, please, floor is yours. I'm calling upon Ms. Maia Machavariani if she's attending right now. Unfortunately, Ms. Maia is absent right now. We can.
Before Ms. Maia joins, I would like to ask two questions which we got in chat, and the questions goes to panelists. The first one is as follows: can Europeans participate in your programs and get funding to conduct research in Georgia? And second question is as follows: are there any upcoming ongoing calls in your programs, and what calls are planned to implement in the nearest future? Thank you.
Is this question to me or?
For the panelists in general, if you have some calls which Europeans can participate, get funding, and come and make research in Georgia. And the second question is if there are any ongoing calls in your programs, and if you have planned to announce any calls in the nearest future.
I will answer very shortly as I open and I started to speak. Of course, in Horizon Europe, we have such opportunity for European researchers to come in Georgia as an associated country and to conduct the research. And from this point of view, still are very interesting the Maria Sklodowska-Curie actions, as well as European Research Council actions. And here in Maria Sklodowska-Curie action, I think it is very well known that we have such actions like doctoral networks. In doctoral networks, we can have the doctoral programs and the young researchers from other countries, European countries, can participate and join the network in Georgia. As well, we have the staff exchange programs, and we can be the host in this program, postdoctoral fellowships. So really, I will not go through all these type of actions. Once more, I repeat, but such opportunities on Horizon Europe, of course, exist. Thank you very much.
As for DAAD, I can say yes for all the questions. We have programs for German researchers or young researchers who can apply for scholarships to come to Georgia. And indeed, each year we have researchers from Germany here in Georgia. And ongoing programs we do have for doctoral students as well as for researchers, academics. The application deadlines are in November. You can see more details on our website. Yeah, and there was a third question. I don't remember third question.
A third question was if there are any calls ongoing and if you are planning to announce the calls in the nearest future.
Yes, we have these ongoing calls, and as I mentioned before, we are planning to offer also a new program for bilateral research projects with together with the Rustaveli Foundation.
Thank you.
From my part, I could say that all programs that I've listed, we have already announced, and next year we are planning to announce this program, and we have also some new, so we are envisaging to announce some new schemes. So all information will be published on our websites.
Thank you. And next question to Mrs. Rusudan. Can Europeans participate in ongoing calls to come and conduct research in Georgia?
Yes, of course, European citizens can participate in our calls and programs from the side, in bilateral calls, I mean.
Okay. Thank you. And there is one more question in chat. If Mrs. Maia is not here, I will also read this question. Giorgi, can I read the question?
Yes.
Okay.
So I think Miss Maia has not joined us yet, so I'll read the question to the panelists. Which of your organizations proposes individual research scholarships to beginner researchers and PhD holders without age limitations? So please.
Still, I will join. I see that Maia typed that she has the technical problem and can join us very shortly. Therefore, I will tell about the opportunity in Maria Sklodowska-Curie actions. We have the opportunities for all age, for PhD students and PhD holders, postdoctoral programs. I have not mentioned about the deadlines. Of course, I can't list now the deadlines for these calls because they are several, and all these deadlines we can check in work program of Maria Sklodowska-Curie action. It is available on the web page, funds and tenders. It is very easy to access and find this work program, and at the same time, we can find opportunities to join this program on the EuroAccess website. And this is really very important, very useful, and it makes easier participation in the Maria Sklodowska-Curie actions and finding the call and opportunity which is interesting for each researcher of any age. Once more, I repeat, for any age. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Maia. If other panelists have nothing to add from their side, I will move on to the next panel because Ms. Maia Machavariani is having some technical problems and is not able to present her presentation or speech. So thank you all for your effort and participation.